What up, what up, what up, what up? This your dude, the Mad Lyrical Wolf, the brown short skinned brother with the missing tooth and thick neck. Had to just throw that in there. Talking about some real hip hop today. 90s hip hop. I call it the Wonder Years. We focusing on another year, which is 94 hip hop. But before we get into that, always, like I always say, every video, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Make sure you do that for me if you didn't already do that. Make sure you hit that like button. This is for the hip hop fans, the real hip hop fans. I ain't talking about that bubblegum hip hop. I ain't talking about that fake hip hop. I ain't talking about that boing yoing hip hop. If you like that type of hip hop, I can't relate to that. This video ain't for you. This is for the true fans, the hip hop fiends, the ones that know about that real shit. If you're a 90s hip hop fan, you're about to really get some flashbacks and also get some jewels at the same time. So before we also get started again, I like to talk about my hat line, Big Den Premium Custom Hats. I got one on right now. The symbol right here, the year of the dragon. Nah, man, I was born in the year of the dragon, 1976. In March of 1976. So, I do have some all sizes, all styles, female hats, male hats, all genders. Nowadays you don't know what to say about certain individuals. So I just say all genders. I do all ages, hats for young kids as well, young children. Has to fit your personality, whatever you into. If you into sports, hip hop as well, Marvel, movies, you want your initials on them. Dragon Ball Z, man. Rest in peace to the dude that started that. If you're into wrestling, anything, man, it's unlimited. Big Den Premium Custom Hats. Now let's get into some 90s hip hop, folks. We're gonna do my top 10, like every video I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my top 10 hip hop albums of that particular year. So we're gonna talk about 94. And the first album I want to talk about is the Fugees. Blunted on Reality was the name of that album. 94. I had the hit on there. Vocab. I got the vocab. That was the joint real unique group, man. That was album was before the Score album. A lot of people may not know that. Um it was definitely real lyrical, creative for the underground heads on that lyrical, political, vibe, conscious vibe. Lauren Hill showing why she was a raw MC. One of the best females to come out for a while since MC Light. She had the duo creative skills where she had the singing skills and the rapping skills that was, I would say, balanced completely. A lot of people say the singing skills outweighed the rap skills, and a lot of people may say that album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, was what killed her career because it had too many R&B joints on there, and it was too much of an R&B album. But we're gonna discuss that when we get to that album. But that Blunted on Reality is a must-have for the hip hop world. It gave a breath of fresh air for hip hop for '94. And then we gonna get into my number two album on my list. It's Shaheem the Rugged Child. Shaheem, man, came from that Staten Island part of the Wu umbrella, as I may say. And think about Wu, man, they had the non-members and everything like that. They spawned a lot of other groups, a lot of other people. Sons of Man, the Killer B albums they did, you know, uh, um, Shaheem, like I said, he one of the people. Killer Army as well. And these groups, that I mentioned, they just ain't had like one album. They had like a couple joints if you go and look it up. But Shaheem was who we talking about, aka the Rugged Child. That was that album I listened to a lot on rotation, a lot. I listen to that album at least once a year. Um, it's an album that you can play over and over and over. The beats is phenomenal. He was known for the joint On and On. The joint was like, this goes on and on, shot everybody doing their own thing, caught up in the drug game. He just had that smooth voice for a young boy at his age, and the person that brought him out, that helped bring him out, was Big Daddy Kane. He used to chill with Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane was like, yo, this little youngster right here, opened up for Big Daddy Kane, hung out with him backstage and all that stuff. He really gravitated towards that dude, and got in a lot of trouble growing up, in the street game, and got into a lot of stuff. That's why you slowly stop hearing about Shaheem. And he had that kid voice, man, that was like, you know, um, fun to listen to. As he got older, the voice changed and all that stuff. But that album, a must have as well. It brought rawness, from that woo side of the planet. Had that woo vibe to it as well. He definitely represented, for that woo umbrella for that year. And as we talking about woo, let's talk about RZA's group, Grave Diggers. The Grave Diggers, man. Grave Diggers was a real unique group, like horror mixed with dark comedy. That's the best way I could explain that group to you. They was like from another dimension type of group. Not for everybody, definitely not for everybody. They whole thing was making fun of the '90s, early '90s gangster rappers and gangster groups that came out in the early '90s. They made satire out of a lot of that stuff. And that was, like I said, one of RZA's his side groups. And Prince Paul was part of that. If people don't know Prince Paul, real famous hip hop producer from producing the classic albums, man, like De La Soul first joint. He helped the hip hop world out tremendously. He was part of that group, and it was like they called it horrorcore hip hop. There's people like Ghetto Boys and stuff that go into like the spiritual and the dark places in the world that we don't talk about. That's what Grave Diggers did for hip hop that year. And the name of that album was 6 Feet Deep. Now we coming into my dude. I say he a real well underrated MC. It's a lot of underrated dudes out there that should be getting their props like they should. But the hip hop world, underground people know him as a lyrical monster. And I'm talking about Keith Murray, man. Keith Murray came up with the album, The Most Beautiful Thing in the World. They had the joint, The Most Beautiful Thing in the World. Just like that, I get in ya. I mean, that was gonna be his hit forever. No matter where he go, way before him, he gonna be known for that joint. Part of the group, Def Squad, which consists of Eric Sermon, Molly G, and Redman. He's just like Redman on that lyrical shit to make you be like, yo, did that boy say that? Keith Murray will say stuff you won't never hear nobody else say in the world. Perfect example when he did the joint on I Shot Your remix. When he said, I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents and let my ball swing on the toilet like I'm on the toilet taking a shit. My rhymes and all that, and a big bag of chips with the dip. Who the fuck says some shit like that, man? That's the type of shit Keith Murray be saying. You know what I'm saying? That off the wall, like, yo, that boy just did he just say that? Definitely my dude forever. Hip hop legend and hip hop lyrical monster, Keith Murray. And then you had Scarface, my favorite album, The Diary. Scarface took his lyrics in his album to a whole nother level. that he never reached before. Like he became like a street prophet. I've never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. Like, think about that concept, man. You on your deathbed and you may did all your dirt in the world, and then you got to meet your maker at that particular time, man. And you know your life was about to end. And that song is definitely about that. And whoever listens to the song, it does something to your spirit and basically your soul, man, to make you be like, wow, this is some. It's like I'm feeling like I'm in church listening to this right here. I'm listening to my pastor on Sunday or something, listening to this joint right here. The Diary, every song was banging back to back. That's another song I listen to on rotation a lot. You know, fast forwarding. All the beats was like, it's like each song get better after the next, after the next, after the next. Street Rawness is what Scarface brought that year for that album, The Diary, in '94. Then you had the dude Method Man, doing his solo album, Chicago. What's that shit you smoke? Chicago. You know what I mean? Like Meth made you know that he wasn't going nowhere no time soon. A dude that had the illest flow ever. Like, come on, y'all. He was on fucking Biggie first album for God's sakes. Biggie could have got anybody he wanted. He wouldn't have got the dopest lyricists in the world. You know, the dopest lyricist in the world. And then he was on Jizz's album. You know what I'm saying? Shadow Boxing. That was my shit. You know what I'm saying? And so many other people. Um, the year when he came out, everybody wanted Meth on the album. He was hotter than fish grease when he came out, man. You know, I came to bring the pain, hardcore for the brain inside my astral plane. Like, come on, man. Then when I listened to the Drink Champs and I heard out when he first came out, you know, and he was using songs you heard on MTV Raps, listening to old rock and roll songs and listening to, you know, they choruses and certain songs they sung and incorporated that in to the Method Man John. That song Method Man. He said even that was taken from like, you know, he took from like the Beatles and some other rock groups and incorporated in his own style, coming out as like 15, 16 years old or whatever like that. That's around the time I started rhyming myself. Probably before that, because I was started rhyming mostly freestyling with my cousin when I was 13. But when I first started really writing, you know what I mean? 'Cause most MCs they start out just freestyling, whatever. That's how we do. But that's a Cow album. Getting back to that classic joint forever, man. My favorite joint in there is Meth versus Chef. Them two going back and forth on there. Um, MC it at his pure finest, you know. Even though my favorite Meth joint, um, I have to say, out of all his albums, Judgment Day, I think Meth took it to that next level on Judgment Day. But Tikal, always gonna be a classic for sure for '94. Then we had Common Sense. He came out with his album Resurrection. Um, called himself Common Sense before legal problems, whatever, with the namesake. You know, he had to change his name for that reason. He couldn't call himself Common Sense. So he wound up calling himself Common after this album. And this was Common's second album, but this spawned the hip hop metaphor for hip hop that year. I used to love her. And I'm pretty sure back in the day, MCs wrote rhymes about using hip hop as being a female, but Common did it, man, and I'm pretty sure somebody else did it too. But I don't I've never heard anybody did it the way Common did personally. So I'm saying he was the first one who did it, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't. But I just know I was the first time I heard him use hip hop as a female and bringing her through the different changes that she been through throughout the time that hip hop came out up until '94, and how she went through the hardcore stage, she went through the Afrocentric stage, she went through the thug stage, and all that the different phases that hip hop went through. He put it as it being a female and used and abused and all that stuff. It was the most unique thing that I ever heard. Common, you know what I mean, always gravitated toward him because we have the same cloth, same conscious thoughts, same sign and everything. That's what made me always gravitate towards Common. And that album Resurrection, I met Common as well in the record store. He probably don't remember. He met so many people. He probably don't remember meeting me. But I went in there and I met him and Talib, and I had the album One Day It Makes Sense. That was my favorite album by him, and I told him that was my favorite album, and he was shocked, surprised that everybody liked Resurrection. And we had a nice conversation, like we knew each other, like like for some reason, and conversation went real smoothly. He signed that joint One Day It Makes Sense. I still got it in my man cave as well. I'm actually going to show that joint after this video is over. Um, Let y'all see how a true hip hop fan and how that story is relates to this. But that album, man, with that, I used to love. I used to see the video when I first see the video with him in the mirror rhyming. I was like, yo, that's me right there. That's a true hip hop fan right there. And that definitely, man, was common in his just purest form. That kind of introduced him to the hip hop game forever with that album, Resurrection. There's another dude that came out, real underrated MC as well. A lot of people don't mention him as they should. Only the true hip hop and underground heads know this dude real well. J. Rule the Damager. So all your hip hop true fans out there know who this dude is. A lyrical beast. The sun always rises in the east. Album super banger. Every song production raw. You know what I mean? He definitely is a street prophet. Well, I ain't gonna say street prophet because he didn't rhyme about the streets and all that. And he was a one of our modern day poets and prophets of the day's time. That's what he was, bringing that lyricism to a whole new different level on the consciousness level. He had to join off of that album, The Prophet. He made it kind of like a cartoon a little bit. It was like cartoonish, the video, but he was part of that Gangstar umbrella. Him and Guru. You could see why he was under that umbrella because everybody came from that Gangstar umbrella was all lyrical thoroughbreds, and that's a must-have as well. And for a true hip hop fan, and also for '94. Now we're getting to the last two. I got to talk about these last two artists and albums that made this the best year of hip hop for these two reasons. Number 9, Nas, Illmatic. To me, one of the best albums in hip hop ever, and I'm gonna tell you why. Listen to this album so much, man. It got me through a scepter strike. I was working at this restaurant called Old Country Buffet. Um, they ain't around no more, but it's like it was way out, like in Bucks, not Bucks County, the Old York Road, something like way the fuck out there. And the buses shut down that particular year, like stuff to do every couple years, and I had to cut the regional rail out that joint. And that was like not in '94 though. That was like in '98 or something, '98 or '99, when I was listening to that album almost every day, folks. Every day I listened to that album, going to my job and coming back home, or maybe twice a day. And it got me through that scepter strike, man. And I gravitated towards Nas, not right away. I gravitate towards some people right away. Sometimes you're not ready for certain individuals or certain albums yet in your life. So I guess during that particular time, I needed that album. Um, and found out that was his first album because I um, actually thought it was written was his second joint. I thought that was his first one. I found out it wasn't. But the first time a hip hop artist used the top producers on an album, the top hip hop producers at that time, first time anybody did that. Premier did production. You had Lord Professor, Pete Rock, Nas even did a joint. Then you had fucking Q-Tip did a joint on there, man. All them dudes I just named, man, even to this day, made a major impact on hip hop, and Nas was the one that was able to do that. After that, everybody copied after him. Everybody did that. Even Biggie, the concept of his younger self on the album cover, people stole that as well. Every song was, I ain't gonna say better than the next, but it was equal to the song before that. My favorite joint is Represent. Represent, 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 represent. I love that joint beat. Sickening. As Premier did his thing on that joint. One love, one love, one love. That was taken concept was taken from back in the day joint, old school joint. I think Houdini, I think, that did that joint. But I love that album, man. It's Nas proved that he's the next thing. Like he was gonna take it from where Rakim and Big Daddy and all them left off at. He took it from there, became like Albater and D Prophet for real. He talked about New York and the streets and all that. Um, real descriptive. He became one of the great storytellers of our time. But it was real relative to, like, no matter where you lived at on the planet in the hood, you related to his stories. Going around with your homies, just making trouble or just having nothing else to do but cause havoc. At your young time, you may not think you was doing it, but we was all immature, doing stupid shit. Got into things we shouldn't have got into. You know what I'm saying? If you had that little, even if you had a little taste of the street, you know what I mean? Or you ran the streets, you can, just you have a little insight of what you could relate to. Even if you just observed, sat on the steps and watched the drug dealers and the other dudes do bad shit, you still was embraced in there. Going to school, back and forth to school and all that, you got some way caught up in that atmosphere. And he gave you that description, best description ever that an individual can give you. And he's one of the greatest lyricists of all time, especially for '94. Then we had the second album, my number 10 on the list, which is, and y'all should already know, Biggie, man. I'm saying Notorious Big, Ready to Die album. The same thing, man. Like, you had the production raw, lyrics raw. Biggie became one of the best storyteller. We talking about his lyrics, and he say shit also to make you be like, damn, did he just say that? Like, the only dude that admit on some funny shit, because Big was arrogant and he was also funny, had a real crazy sense of humor. And the only dude I know to this day that says some crazy shit that no other dude that's straight will ever say. You look so, talking about a female, or you look so good. Suck on your daddy's. Yo, who would dare to say something like that? But Biggie, you know what I'm saying? He ain't even care about saying it, which is crazy, man. To let you know how bold he was and how much of a you know comedian he was. You know what I'm saying? But he brought to you, man, that storytelling, became one of the great storytellers, up there with like Snoop, up there with Slick Rick, the number one of all time, but up there with Snoop, Ice Cube, even Nas, Cool G Rap, in that street gangster storytelling. To me, Biggie was like the second best. Him, Coogee Rap, Scarface, and Biggie was like the three best street storytellers of all time. You listen to him as like listening to an audio book. He described what happened in the beginning, the middle. He give you the whole joint, how it happened, what happened at the end, who had on this. The descriptions is just so vivid, man, so vivid, and that's what he gave to hip hop for '94. For a vivid description of lyricism and the streets. Now, there's a rumor out there, there's a dude claimed that Biggie stole his style and his beat or whatever. His name is Notorious Big One. B1. I'm sorry, Notorious B1. Look him up. You can see his video on YouTube, and it sounds similar to Juicy or whatever. No, One More Chance, I think it was. He tried to say that Puffy and them stole his joint. You can't say that Biggie stole his name because Biggie was calling himself Notorious Big ever since '91. So this dude came out with this particular song that he said Puffy and Biggie and them stole in '93, a year before Ready to Die came out. I mean, that's what a lot of people, producers and execs was doing it at the time. If you're not the hot thing, they stole people's shit. So I'm not saying it's true. I ain't saying it's not. You check it out for yourself, do your research, come up with your own, what I mean? But I pretty, me personally, Biggie was an arrogant dude. So, did he stole boy style? Biggie had his own style, in my opinion. I don't think he needed to steal nobody else's style. Like maybe Biggie, like maybe Puffy, because I never trust Puffy from day one, to be honest. He just looked like a shiesty boy, in my opinion. I still believe he has something to do with Biggie death. Yes, I said it here. And I know you heard it a lot on his YouTube joint. So I definitely believe that. And he could have stole the song from the young boy back then and got that joint for Big, because Big put all his trust in Puffy. For some whatever reason, he looked at Puffy as like, yo, you gonna make me a star? All right. You gonna put money in my pocket I never had before on this type of level? Okay. And then money, man, that money would do you in all the time. But anyway, getting back to Ready to Die, another album you can listen to basically all day. Going on a road trip, put that joint on. You don't got no other music to have on your possession. That's one. And Nas joint. Them two is all you need for a road trip back to back. Them two joints. If you wanted to do like a playlist of like verses, when they came out with the verses, um, joint with the two groups and entertainers and the singers and rappers going against each other. If you ever did a verses on a road trip with albums, Illmatic and Ready to Die will be the two. And your ride will be so lovely, man. With them classic joints from both albums. I give them both equally 5 stars plus. Rest in peace to Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, my dude. And there you have it, man. There you have it. The top 10 albums of '94, in my opinion. Let me hear your top albums. I really love to hear from you and the people out there what you believe was the best albums of '94, was your personal favorites. I could talk all day about a lot of the other ones that came out that I have and that I like. But I just wanted to keep it to the top 10. Give me your top 10. I want to hear your comments for real, folks. And we're gonna do this again real soon, man. Real soon. I'm gonna be spitting these joints out like fire right now. Rapid speed. You're gonna be coming with another one soon. But right now, sit back and enjoy. You know what I mean? As I'm representing right here with the 50 years of hip hop joint on. Gotta represent to the fullest. 90s hip hop, 94. See you on the flip side to give you more. Peace. I'm out.